Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, it's 11:02 on The Lock Shop. Dusty with you. Huss not here today. Pat Gregoire, P. Greggy's going to slide in with me here. We got about 30 minutes. We are going to take you live down to the Elk. Man, Patty, the Elks just keep scheduling things for 11:30. Like,
crazy.
Good news is that they're running out of things to announce. They're running out of positions to fill. And I don't think they'll be calling like 11:30 pressers for like backup weak side. I can't guarantee it. But I don't know. So anyway, we got about 27 minutes, which is good. That's a good amount of time with Patty and I. We'll recap yesterday in the National Football League, and then obviously we'll set up the Monday Nighter. One couple quick notes I want to get to. I was at home doing my preps. I printed it off, and I had some like cardstock paper left. So it's like not like it's hard paper. I like this for like broadcast
it's the good stuff.
Yeah, I use it for
me too.
stuff, but I usually don't do it for house. But man, it takes your notes to another level. Like I love it. I'm very excited now. So we got the cardstock paper for the notes, and you have this wonderful Christmas tree behind you, Pat.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yes,
look at that.
Tis the season, right? Tis the season to win some bets.
Fake? I was a fake tree. Fake tall tree?
Yes, okay. Yes. Yeah, it's a fake tree. I mean, it looks pretty full. It's got the flocking or whatever, the white fake snow is on there. It's a winter wonderland in the Gregoire household. That's for damn sure.
Do you put all that stuff on yourself, or does that tree come with all that stuff on?
That is so it comes with the white stuff on there, but all those ornaments and the bows that you see.
Professional job, buddy. It looks nice.
That's I will say I'm the right hand man to my wife. She is the one that makes it look like one of those the trees that you see in a store. So
yeah,
a Pinterest tree, as I like to call it. So
it's a lot different than the one that I have with a 9 and a 7-year-old. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we've already had this discussion. My wife, like I said, she loves like the trees that look like this, but I said, when we have kids, there's going to have to be a change. She goes, no. There will be a child's tree that will be like in the basement. Wow. And then there will be the tree that they're not allowed to touch.
I remember having that conversation about 8 years ago too. It's a fun one to have. Now I was always like, cause I grew up on a farm, we would just go out and cut down a tree.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll be honest, a few of them absolutely look like garbage. But I was always like, no matter what, we're going to have a real tree. And for like the first 3 or 4 years, we did have a real tree. And then I was just like, you know what? It's pretty easy just to have a tree, put it in a box and put it back out in the shed until next Christmas.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. But, the tradition of going out, picking your tree, cutting it down, that's definitely has some luster. But when all I got to do is go into storage, bring the tree up, pull it up, and we're ready to roll. That's also pretty nice too. I will say though, I do miss the smell of a real tree, but we've got some candles here that have a little bit of a Christmas tree smell. So they think of everything now, man.
A couple of years ago, man, we got like a thing you can hang in the tree that makes it smell like a real
I've seen those too.
Cool
I've seen those too. Yeah,
those aren't bad either. All right, so we are going to get to a recap yesterday. You were doing NLL this past weekend too?
Yeah, I was in Halifax for a crazy game on Saturday night. The Thunderbirds end up losing to Calgary, the Roughnecks. It was an 18-17 game. So hopefully folks in the chat, the D-Gens, I know they're starting to get in on the NLL action as well. Hopefully they had the over because that one was over, I think, hit the over in the early third quarter. So it would never a doubt.
No sweater. You got to love that. Hopefully we get the same thing tonight in this football game. Huss, of course, couldn't join us, not because he was down watching the Vikings, but because he just couldn't find another week to defend the Chiefs. This time a doink for the division. Another 2-point win. Chargers cover. I was on them at +4 last week.
Yep.
I mean, it's ridiculous it just every single way you could possibly win. The Chiefs are finding a way to do it. I still think Cinderella's run comes to an end here at some point in the playoffs, but man, it's wild. Somebody texted into our show this morning. I was like, I feel like the Chiefs were like, you know what? Let's put one in off the upright just so the haters get even angrier. It's just because this is unbelievable stuff what we're witnessing right now with the Chiefs.
It is absolutely nuts. 15 straight wins in one possession games. Like the divisional doink, that's what we'll call this one now. Like they just find new ways to come up with crazy victories. Like it's absolutely nuts, but I do agree with you. Like water's got to find its level at some point. If I'm a Chiefs fan, like I'm partially kind of hoping that actually goes doinking out, or at some point, maybe they don't block that field goal against the Broncos. Like I know they have the one loss to the Bills, but in one of these close one-score games, one-possession games, you almost want one of these not to go your way, because if this continues, you're right. Like when they go up against a really good team in the playoffs, sure, it looks like they're probably going to be the number one seed. The Bills lose to Rams in a crazy game, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about. Yeah. But even though they're going to be home, like just at some point, one of these games aren't going to go their way. And you'd rather that happen in the regular season than against a very good Bills team or a Ravens team or whoever it may be.
Like, I don't think it would be crazy if the Steelers beat them in the playoffs right now.
Honestly. The way that I totally agree. Like, I mean, man, you got to give them credit. They have one loss. They're finding ways to win. There are definitely some concerns here, but you can't take back wins. And that's what they've done. They've stacked up wins, even despite not playing their best football. So you got to give them credit there. But man, oh man, there's got to be some concern in the Chiefs kingdom because
somebody's going to have to go on the road and beat them with the way that this has been going, right? That's going to be difficult to do, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just wild to me seeing that every week, close games against, regardless of the level of competition. Like
good teams, bad teams.
Bad teams close. It's just blows my mind.
Well, just quickly while we're on the Chiefs, like just looking at the remaining schedule, like they've got the Browns next week.
By the way, I got overbold on my show this morning. I said Jameis is going to go in and beat them. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. I got carried away this morning. I'll come back around to that later in the week. But I did say like that would be the most Jameis thing ever.
Of course,
like it really would. And the Chiefs they're kind of due to lose a weird one even at this point. So we'll see what happens. But okay, what's the rest of their schedule look like?
So at Browns, you're right. That will either end in a winning game touchdown by Jameis Winston or a pick six to lose by Jameis Winston. Texans at Chiefs the following week on the 21st. Then Christmas game. This is a present for football fans. St. Nick really got us a good present this year. Chiefs and Steelers.
Oh boy.
On Christmas Day. That maybe is something we got to circle on our calendar. That could possibly be a preview for the playoffs as well. And then wraps up Broncos hosting the Chiefs on January 5th. So probably a pretty favorable schedule. Some tough games in there. Certainly not an automatic for them to run it. But with the Bills losing to the Rams last game or last night, they dropped to 3. They've got a really tough game against the Lions, which maybe could be the game of the year.
Yeah.
And then they close it out with a pretty easy stretch. I think it's Pats twice and the Jets in there as well. So you think as long as the Chiefs don't fall apart here and lose, let's say of those 4, lose 3 of them, they probably got the first seed.
I think they'll lose 1. I think there's a chance maybe they lose 2, but they'll lose. I mean, there's some decent Denver revenge game. That one's in Denver. Denver almost already beat them once. Steelers will be interesting. We talked about that. I got carried away with the Jameis and the Browns thing, but I mean, we'll see what ends up happening on that front. All right. I mean, we have to get to Josh Allen. I mean, he literally did the definition of there's nothing else you can do. You know, like if you're Josh Allen, first player ever in the history of the league to pass for 3 touchdowns, rush for 3 touchdowns. I'm surprised he didn't also pass and receive another one like he did the week before. And they were the first team ever to score 6 touchdowns and have no turnovers and lose. The record was 245-0 before this. So, I mean, you can kind of just one of those weird ones for the Bills. But as a Bills fan, what did you not like that you saw last night in a 44-42 loss to the Rams?
Didn't like that defense. Really did not like that defense. I know the Rams offense. Like, I mean, I was on the Rams to make the playoffs this year. I was on them to hit their win total. I said when they are healthy, that offense is a team that I think when you look at the NFC, like you'd be terrified to go up against that team. The Bills have a very, very bad habit of wasting a lot of these Josh Allen, quote unquote, perfect games. Go back to think of Kansas City, some of those playoff games, how damn good he's been. And it seems like Sean McDermott whether it's a coaching blunder or his defense not showing up, like that to me looked like a look ahead game from the defensive standpoint. They got gashed up, but the Bills they at least once a year, they're good for one of these games where it's just a complete no-show by the defense. I think they have a bounce back, although they play a very, very good Lions team. And even when you are on your top of your game, that offense is going to be really tough to slow down. So definitely the defense is a concern for me. I think they find a way to bounce back. The thing that really concerns me, once again, this coaching staff, Sean McDermott, just terribly managed the clock in late game situations. They try that quarterback sneak, have to waste the timeout, and then now you basically have to go for an onside kick. Like you have no choice but to go for an onside kick now because you have to blow one of your timeouts. Like it was a perfectly executed drive to get up to that point. Why not throw the ball? It stops the clock. Or even if you do run the ball, get up quick and try it again. They just immediately call the timeout and it blows that timeout. Then now all of a sudden because the way that their defense actually started to play the last couple of defensive stands, like they got a couple of big stops. They started to figure things out. So if they have 3 timeouts, you're able to get them to punt the ball to you, which they did. They were able to get. It was a game-winning putt. So if you think you have that timeout in your back pocket, you have all 3. The way that the defense started to play better, there's a good chance that you get the ball. And the way that Josh Allen was driving down the field, you most certainly feel like you're going to be able to get a game-winning field goal, especially the fact that the Rams missed the point attempt after. They missed it. So it was a 9-point lead. So a field goal would actually win the game for you guys. It's again, Sean McDermott, unbelievable coach from a talent development standpoint. Like the talent that he's been able to develop with some of these later round draft picks, these second and third rounders, the way that injuries continue to happen and he's able to keep this group together, the culture he's built in that locker. It's hard to be a McDermott hater, but time and time again, this guy finds a way to just
that's what I was
dribble all
ask
over
you.
himself.
Like he's been here since 2017, right? Like but you said, you said it's tough to be a McDermott hater, but if it's, I guess, how long can you just go with the same story?
Yeah.
Over and over and over again before you want to try to change that ending, if you know what I mean, right? Like it's crazy to me. And I do think, Josh Allen gets it done at some point, I think, unless
he's too good not to.
Kind of blows it back. Like we were talking about it last week. I said, what's the better comparison to Connor McDavid, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, right? Like Josh Allen is a freak. He did something yesterday that we've never seen, hasn't won one yet. Lamar Jackson's got multiple MVPs, hasn't won one yet. I think they're both like at that level of greatness, but they just haven't been able to get it done yet. It's crazy. They haven't.
And a lot of you think of a lot of those losses to the Chiefs, it's not because Josh Allen wasn't good enough. Like how many games, how many times are we going to sit here and say, Josh Allen, what else could he have done? Like there are too many times in his career, especially in big games. And I'd rather the defense have this blunder, and I'd rather Sean McDermott have a blunder in a game than in a playoff game. But we've seen it before. But there's been too many times where the Bills lose a game and Josh Allen's butt is on the bench looking and seeing that his defense or McDermott has let him down. But if you ask Josh Allen, this is why I also love him too. He had the best game of his career, you could argue, like statistically, like something that we've never seen before. And in the presser, he says, I got to find a way to get in that end zone. When they asked about what was wrong, like what went wrong there, instead of, throw. And of course, he's not going to throw his coach under the bus, but we've seen guys kind of question and maybe spin zone it that way. But he goes, it's on me. I got to find a way to get in that end zone so we don't have to blow a timeout. That just goes to show you the guy, the teammate that Josh Allen is.
All right, you can message us over in the nasty chat. If you like anything for the Monday Nighter, feel free to throw that in there as well, as we are breaking down yesterday in the National Football League. Few other things standing out. The Steelers go to 10-3, taking care of business at home. They get it done against Cleveland, 27-14. The Vikings, man, I talked about this a little bit this morning with Mike Tanier from his Too Deep Zone. I mean, the Lions should be running away with the division right now, but they're not because the Vikings just continue to find a way. They're 11-2. They play in the final week of the season, which could just be an absolutely monstrous game. I don't know if you would have ever had two. Let's say they both continue to win out, and you have a division battle between a one-win team or one-loss team, a two-loss team for a division title. I mean, I'm not sure that's ever happened. Like, that would be absolutely incredible. But Sam Darnold, 347 yards yesterday, 5 touchdowns, pretty much all of it going to his 2 wide receivers. It was a heavy day. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 133, 3 touchdowns. That probably got somebody into the playoffs or won their fantasy playoffs if they had already started and they're in the first week of playoffs. Justin Jefferson, 7 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the weapons are certainly there, but I'm still stunned with the day that Sam Darnold put together.
I saw this stat, Dusty, or this tweet. NFL on CBS tweeted it out. This season, Sam Darnold has more passing yards than Lamar Jackson, more passing TDs than Josh Allen, and fewer interceptions than Patrick Mahomes. And I want to say, who could have seen this coming? Maybe I didn't see this coming this much, but I did bet Sam Darnold over passing yards, and it was at 3,450.5. It is already cashed. Wow. We have already cashed our tickets. And yes, of course, I figured he would have cashed the over on that, but I didn't think we'd be doing in what week we're in right now. Week 14. No chance.
Yeah, there's still a lot of runway left. That's incredible. He's already passed
it's nuts. And I thought the number was too low, but I didn't think it was going to be like this. I think the Vikings were one of the top talked about stories at the start of the year, but for whatever reason, maybe because they had a little bit of a slump there, nobody else is talking about this team. And for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's because the Lions have been playing so well and you've got the Eagles on a 9-game winning streak, but they're such a lightning rod because of Sirianni and the way that offense is built and how their defense. But nobody's talking about the Vikings. Sam Darnold is having an unbelievable season. You mentioned all the targets. The defense is so legit as well. Brian Flores has that group just confusing quarterbacks week in, week in. I definitely think there are not a lot of teams right now in the NFC that I think can take down the Lions. Like, I think this is their conference to win. But if you had to give me one team, I'm not picking the Eagles. I'm actually picking this Vikings team to do it. Although I don't know if they can. I think they're the team that maybe is best built to do it, though.
Can't wait for that final game of the season. That's going to be absolutely outstanding between those two teams. 2 more interceptions for Kirk Cousins in that game as well. I am officially putting the Tennessee Titans on my own personal shit list. Man, come on. I was sitting there, and last week I said, well, I'm going to run it back with them. There's no way they're going to let me down, especially against Jacksonville, especially against Mac Jones, who throws 2 interceptions in this game. That still wasn't good enough for the Titans to do anything. And they have a 6-0 lead going into the fourth quarter and allow the Jags to hit 10 points. Now, not only did I not get the Titans on our best bets of the week, I also had the Titans in a little 5-team teaser, and I moved them from 3 to 3.5. And they lose at home by 4, and I had them at 3.5 just to keep the teaser alive. Like, my God, that is disappointing. So, not that I would have much of a desire to bet on them or the Jags the rest of the way, but I guess that's one team just being worse than another really bad team that day.
You in the NFL, if your defense holds a team to 10 points, you should win that game. Like that honestly, that was a game that was not really going to be on my radar, but then I remembered it was on the partner parlay. I also, that teaser you sent over, I looked at it and I'm like, this is an automatic winner. I wrote it as well because it looked so damn good. It looked great. And the fact that you're up 6-0 heading into the fourth and you find a way to lose. I mean, shame on us for betting on that game. That's 2 really, really bad football teams going toe to toe. But that's why it was
the only one that ruined the teaser too.
I know, man.
The rest of it was like the Dolphins, and they only needed them +1, Steelers to win, Bucks to win, Chargers +10.5, and then Yeah, needed plus 3.5. They lose by 4 at home. That's
quickly, because you said it, man. The Bucks. How about my Bucks?
Yeah,
that I thought that when their top 2 receivers go down, and they lost all those close, heartbreaking games, I thought that bet for them to win the division was dead and done in the water. They've got the lead right now. It's remarkable that that Baker and this group has been able to like hold things together. And on the flip side, I mean, the Falcons have completely imploded. That's why I love this Buccaneers bet. It was like plus 3 something, 325 or whatever it was. It just the number didn't make sense why the Falcons were such heavy favorites to win that division.
All right, it's Nielson and Pete Greggy with you on the Lock Shop today. We were planning on going to Tre Ford at 11:30 without availability, but the Elks aren't streaming that on YouTube. So we're not going to be able to go there. So, Patty, I know I only said I need you for half hour. You can still take off if you have to. If not, you can stick around. Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then, because we'll have lots of time to get to the Monday Nighter. Let's get, you know what? This is an interesting question, actually. So if you're listening, or if you're listening, you can text us 780-218-9999. If you are, if you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us. Sub to the channel if you haven't. There's a good question of, Mark is asking, where do you guys think Sam Darnold ends up next year? That's a weird spot here for Sam Darnold, right? Because they have their guy. He just happened to be hurt. So he's getting like this great year to put on a resume. And you know how it is in the National Football League, like pretty decent tickets get dished out to guys who have a year like this. That's a great question. I haven't looked at teams that will need quarterbacks, but it's really weird to put together the year you have, knowing that it's not going to do anything for you probably in that market because they got their guy.
Well, you know who would love Sam Darnold right now is the New York Jets.
I was thinking Raiders, but Jets. Yeah, man.
I think the Raiders, and it sounds like the Jets. Like who knows what happens with the Jets if they draft a quarterback.
Can you imagine that?
But like him going back to the Jets, that would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
Like you can't script that. The Raiders, I think the Raiders probably will end up with a pretty high pick, might draft. Like I talked about Shedeur Sanders. Like that seems like a match made in heaven for them. But a team that I kind of was thinking that might make sense, and we just talked about it, is the Titans. Like I think the Titans, I think that he could definitely end up with the Titans. I think the Will Levis project is done.
Well, damn well better be after he couldn't give me a single touchdown this week. Like,
so I think that's somewhere where you could possibly land. Like, it's really tough for him to stay in Minnesota. JJ McCarthy is their guy. I imagine they will move on, but I don't know. I haven't really done a deep dive, but those are kind of the two teams that certainly jump out off the page at me when it begins. So that's obviously going to be a market in the offseason that Coolbet will be having. Which team do we expect Sam Darnold to
that's it. That's an easy one. There'll be some good buzz on that one. Just with the Jets, I don't know if we talked. I know Huss and I talked about it on the Lock Shop last week, but we get your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers on Netflix with Enigma, the documentary that'll be coming on.
Yeah, I mean, if
you're excited to watch it, you're going to hate watch it.
I'm definitely going to hate watch it. Yeah. I'm going to hate watch the hell of it. And for how bad he's been, I mean, the last thing he should be doing is showing up on Pat McAfee every week and having his Netflix. Like, stop drawing attention to you, dude. Like, just enough's enough. Like, I'm so happy, and I've already done the grave dancing on Jets and the NFL media that were shoving the Jets in our face, saying the Bills are retooling. This is the year for the Jets. You looked at some of the power rankings that some of these people put out there. They had the Bills as the number 3 team in the division. The Bills won the AFC East for the 5th time in a row and clinched it in week 13. And so for everyone, for the Jets fans, for the NFL media, for all the pundits that were saying that this Jets team is a Super Bowl contender, ha, ha, ha. They are a dumpster fire, and they continue to be a dumpster fire. And I love it. And I absolutely will be hate watching that Netflix show.
How are you handicapping the NFC West right now? I mean, another big win for Seattle against a division rival. That was big. The current standings, it's technically still anybody's division because the Seahawks are 8-5, the Rams are 7-6, the Cards are 6-7, and the Niners are 6-7 after that bare butt spanking of the Bears last night. So, like, we've said good things about these teams all year, and we've also criticized all these teams throughout the season as well. Like, there's been some ups and downs for a lot of them. I'm a Matthew Stafford guy, and when he's got his weapons, I think the Rams aren't that bad, but who do you like in that division right now?
Not to overreact, but that Rams team looks, when they're healthy and Matt Stafford has time in the pocket, that's a really, really good offense. Now, the defense certainly has a lot of issues as well. The Seahawks, whatever Seahawks team shows up, like, just looking at this, the Seahawks are 5-1 on the road this year.
Yep.
Only 3-4 at home, which is, I don't know if I've ever, I can't remember the last time I saw them with a losing record at home. But the Rams, I think, probably have the highest ceiling outside of maybe the 49ers. But I just feel like the 49ers being at 6-7, they just have too big of a hill to climb. And yeah, they looked great yesterday, but it was the Bears. It's also the Bears that we're talking about. Cardinals are a fine team. Don't think they've gotten enough for them to win the thing. So if I had to guess, Seahawks, just because of the record, are probably going to be the favorite, but I wouldn't surprise if you see a little bit of a closer number on the Rams. And if you're looking at a value perspective, yeah, it's probably going to be the 49ers, but are they going to be able to run the table and hope that the Seahawks and the Rams lose out or only are able to pick up? I know Jake's always got his eyes on the schedules here, but let me quickly pull up, what do the 49ers have the rest of the way? Oh, they got the Rams head-to-head next week, Thursday nighter.
They get the
and
Lions,
then the Lions, they've got the Dolphins sprinkled in there. And I mean, I know I was just giving a lot of slander to the Dolphins, but they've been playing a lot better. That offense has looked a lot better once Tua's come back. And then 49ers have the Cardinals in the last week of the season. So definitely not an easy schedule for the stretch of the imagination. I don't see the 49ers coming back and winning the division. I'll be quite honest.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to put it together at this point, but that one against the Bears is kind of a pain in the butt because I was talking about, like, the Niners have been blown out their last 2 games by pretty good teams, and the Bears, their last 3 games had lost tight ones by pretty good teams. So I was expecting a little bit more from the Bears. But at halftime, did you see the yardage at halftime? It was 319-4 in favor. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that anywhere, regardless of the league.
I saw it all over Twitter, and I assumed that it was. I thought it was like a glitch on the broadcast, or like someone did a really funny Photoshop. And nope, I looked at the box score, and that's exactly what it was. Yeah, that one was a really weird one, and it almost was like a perfect storm. Like the 49ers were due to finally get a bad team and be able to expose them, and the Bears was like, they can't possibly continue to keep it close. And I think that's kind of what happened. Looking now at the Rams schedule quickly, Dusty.
Yeah.
Rams, 49ers, as we mentioned, on that Thursday nighter, then the Jets on the 22nd, then head-to-head against the Cards and the Seahawks.
Oh, wow.
Like, this thing's coming down to the last game of the season. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But in terms of like going forward, like, are any of the, because we talked about how the Lions at this point, I think the Lions are the team to beat. Like, it's theirs to lose. The Vikings, I think, have a shot. Obviously, the Eagles have a shot in this division. Maybe the Rams, but like, I don't see I definitely don't see the Seahawks. I definitely don't see the Cards, and maybe the 49ers if they can get healthy and figure it out. But I think the more difficult thing for the 49ers is for them to even get into the playoffs. Never mind if they can knock off one of these better teams in the NFC. I just think we're poised for such a awesome finish when it comes to this division. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the division odds look like tomorrow morning at Coolbet.
All right, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, or hit us up over in the Nasty Chat on YouTube. Katie, I see you saying, are we streaming the presser? We thought the presser was going to be, we have a bunch of guys down there, but we thought the presser was going to be streaming on the Elks YouTube, but they decided not to stream it on YouTube. And we did not know that before we got down there, so we did not have a chance to bring our own equipment to set it up. So we will not have the Tre Ford presser. I'm not too sure why the Elks aren't putting it on their own YouTube channel. I think there'd be a lot of interest in that, so that kind of throws me for a bit of a loop. But we do have guys down there. You have a reaction coming up on EST afternoons and on the Reed Wilkins show. We've got an interesting Monday nighter tonight. And it seems like such an over that, we're going to be disappointed when it ends up. You're like, oh man, how'd that end up at 46 points? I thought this was going to blow over the total. The total's at 50. Money line Bengals minus 222. Cowboys are plus 203 dogs at home. And the spread right now is 4.5. Was this 5.5 this morning? For some reason, I feel like it was 5.5 this morning.
I think I saw 5. I don't know about 5.5, right. But I definitely saw 5. But you're probably right. It could have been a 5.5, and you're bang on. This over is my favorite bet of the evening, and it's not even close. Like, I think, when you look at the Cowboys, for as bad as they have been, especially with Cooper Rush, he's kind of been sneakily effective. He's
been sneaky okay. He really has. Yeah.
Like 61 points in their 2 wins combined. Mind you, it was against the Commanders and the Giants, but like this Bengals team is all like in the same category as those 2 teams' defenses, and might be worse than actually the Commanders' defense. They're a dumpster fire. Like, they are awful. And when you look at this Bengals team, they are the perfect over team. Listen to these scores in the last 5 Bengals games. Steelers 44, Bengals 38. Chargers 34, Bengals 27. Ravens 35, Bengals 34. Bengals 41, Raiders 24. Eagles 37, Bengals 17. The Bengals score a lot of points and they give up a lot of points. I love the over. It is scary how much I love this over, because you're right. This is we need Fisherman Jake on the case here, because I think this could be a fishy line, but I'm eating the cheese. I'm taking the rat line. These 2 offenses can score, and their defense can't stop shit.
Yeah, I think this is the line I take up to 51.5, 52ish. Yeah. I see it at 50. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely on the over in this game. And I mean, it's going to be the props for us to build a parlay are going to be absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of them. I've got like 5 or 6 that I'd be willing to throw into the parlay tonight. What about this 4.5? Cincinnati Bengals minus 4.5. I'll say this. I think the Cowboys offense eventually runs out of gas, even against the Bengals defense. Like, I just don't know if Cooper Rush can keep. I think they'll keep up with him for a bit, but I don't know if they can keep up with Joe Burrow, who's having a phenomenal season. If his team could help him do anything, I mean, he could be right in the mix there for a possible MVP if they could win some of these bloody games. Joe Burrow's having a phenomenal season. So Burrow and Chase and Higgins and the Canadian Chase Brown, they're going to get theirs. And I think Cowboys will be able to stick with him for a little bit. But I think that offense for Dallas eventually runs out of gas. So I'm going to take the Bengals minus 4.5 here on the road against Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a play necessarily for me, but if we're building a parlay, I would not be against it. Maybe even bet it down to like a 3.5 or a 3. But I agree with you. I really do agree with you. I talked about how I actually don't mind the offense for this Cowboys team. I like.
Well, they could hang 30, and this would still get covered at 37 or something. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, it's just when it comes to like those points are going to come a little bit more difficult than how easy it will come for the Bengals, if that makes any sense. So I do think you're right. There is going to be in the 4th where it's a 3 and out by Cooper Rush and this team, or it's going to be a bad pick in the end zone or something. Whereas I just don't see those. Like, I don't know how many punts we're getting out of the Bengals today. I really don't. So I tend to agree with you. I would lean Bengals minus 4.5 for sure.
I think there's enough other options from a player prop perspective that we probably don't need to even have a side picked in here, because I mean, I've got a bunch of them. Give me some of yours, Patty. What do you like today?
I got a lot. I really like this.
I just kept coming. I'm like, touchdown score, him. Yep. This was a fun, like, this will be a fun game for anybody who's watching or listening. If you've never done a bet builder, go in here on a bet builder and just sprinkle away, because I think that would be a lot of fun.
Well, what a transition, what a layup, because if you have been enjoying the Christmas Coolbet calendar, today's daily present is a Monday Night Football Bet Builder boost. You get a 20% profit boost on a bet builder for tonight's game. So go to the promotions tab, click the Coolbet Xmas calendar, and then there will be that green button to boost your bet. It will be a multiplier of 20% for a same game parlay at Bet Builder at Coolbet. So make sure you check that out. There will be some information tweeted out and put on our Instagram a little bit later. So if you don't know where to find it, hit that promotion tab or give us a follow at Coolbet Canada. You'll see all the info there. So with that being said, if you do want to, one that I'll be looking at for sure is Joe Burrow completions over 24.5. You got to have some sort of touch of Joe Burrow in this game because he is, like you said, I think he is in the MVP conversation if this Bengals team could keep them anywhere close to the postseason. So Burrow, he's hit this in 5 straight games and 8 in 12 this entire season. You look at what Dallas does, the one thing that is a little bit concerning is they only give up 19.3 completions a game, but that's because their run defense is so bad. They give up 147.6 yards per game on the ground. But with that being said, as we said it, we actually think that this Cowboys team should be able to put up some points against Dallas. So I think Joe Burrow will have to throw the ball. He'll have to keep pace. We're going to see a high scoring game. So he's going to throw the ball a lot. Maybe later on in the game, they start pounding the rock a little more with Chase, but over 24.5 completions. There's no world that I don't see him getting this, despite what the game script may be. I like a T. Higgins anytime touchdown at plus 120, scored in 3 straight games. He's had double-digit targets in their last 2 games as well. There are a couple of other ones that are a little bit juicier that I consider maybe in a parlay, but in terms of a straight outright bet, I like Higgins touchdown at plus 120. Kevontae Turpin over 14.5 reception yards. Has been a ton of bright spots for this offense this year, but he has been one of them. He's an electric player. Really enjoyed watching him, and he's a guy that easily could hit this in one reception. I know their receiving core is starting to get a little healthier, but I just think, he's hit this in 2 of the last 3 games, Dusty, and 2 of those games have been 53 and 86 yards. Last one for me, and a surprise, it's another Cowboys one. I think there are some opportunities for some props for the Cowboys, despite me not really being too high on them. But I do think their offense, like I said, been playing pretty good. Jake Ferguson over 37.5 reception yards. The Bengals have been awful against tight ends this year. 4th most tight ends yards against any team. They average about 9 targets a game against the position. He's back. He's healthy. And him and Cooper have kind of gained a little bit of chemistry over the last few games. 16 connections in the last 3 games. So the concussion, definitely a little bit of a concern, but the Bengals are so bad at defending that position. This could go over in like 2 catches.
All right, a couple of things to get to on my part, and then we'll put together a little parlay. First of all, the wheel, which was just last Monday with the Jerry Jeudy touchdown, did spin T. Higgins today. So it agreed with you on T. Higgins.
Love it.
Plus 120 for a touchdown there. I mean, not going to play this one by itself, but I would definitely throw it in the parlay. Chase Brown touchdown minus 189.
Yep.
Jamar Chase minus 161. Yeah, I'm not going to play that on its own, but would also be okay throwing that in. I like the over 5.5 touchdowns in this football game. That's minus 125. Jamar Chase over 6.5 receptions. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5. His fewest targets in his last 5 games was 9, which he caught 6 of them, I think. That was the only game he didn't hit this. The other 4 games have all been in double digits, and that's with T. Higgins healthy and in the lineup, and T. Higgins has been hitting double-digit targets in a bunch of those games as well. So Joe Burrow's throwing the ball a lot, and a lot of it is to Jamar Chase, and a lot of it is to T. Higgins. So I feel good about those. The T. Higgins numbers at 5.5. I think I like Jamar Chase more at 6.5. So I like that one. And then here's the other one, and this will be on the Dallas side. I also like your Ferguson play. I was looking at Ferguson as well. But Cooper Rush, over 234.5 passing yards. Don't need to parlay it if we don't want, because it's minus 112. So if you want to bet it on your own, you can. But in the last 3 Bengals games, now it's the Steelers with Russ, and Russ was cooking that day. the Chargers and the Ravens. So, I mean, you get Lamar mixed in there. Chargers offense has been hit and miss. But in the last 3 Bengals games, and you laid out, some of the high-scoring games that they've played, but in their last 3 games, they have allowed 326 yards per passing per game, which is by far the highest in the league over the last 3 games. Now, those are bigger challenges, but that number is still almost 100 more yards than where Cooper Rush is sitting at right now at 234.5. So I don't mind that play at minus 112. I think there's probably some better ones that we can mix in to a little Monday Night Football parlay here as well. But the Bengals have been hemorrhaging yards through the air. And Cooper Rush's numbers at 234.5. If we wanted to throw in a parlay, maybe we could take it down to 229.5 or something like that. But that's one that I would look at as well. And who do we have? Somebody over in the chat here said that there. Oh, yeah. Rod Z says Joe Burrow over 275.5 passing yards for my 20% boost play. And that is the only prop I am betting tonight. So, Patty, what do we do here? What do we put together?
Oh man, there's so many good ones that you laid out there as well. I think, looking at that Cooper play, I certainly am not opposed to that at all. When you look at Rush's last 3 games, 195 against the Giants, but before that, 247 against the Commanders and 354 against the Texans. I know you said maybe not, maybe we tease that down then. I actually really like that.
229.
I really do like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mentioned Higgins touchdown is one of my favorites, but we already got the wheel on that and it's plus money. Do we want to maybe include one of the other top?
One of the Chases, Chase Brown or Jamar. I mean, I think there's a Chase Brown rushing touchdown coming at some point tonight.
So maybe
he's at minus 189. So
we could do that. You said you like Ferguson. Do we want to go? But
I do like Ferguson. Maybe we go.
What was one of the other ones that you really like?
I like Jamar Chase over 6.5. He's hit
okay.
We 4 of his last 5.
We could go Chase.
We go Chase. If we move Chase down to 5.5 catches, and then through the Brown TD in there and the Ferguson, what'd you say for Ferguson yards?
Ferguson's yards were 37.5.
37.5. And then if we take Cooper Rush down to, let's say, whatever number you guys can get it down to, 229 maybe and a half, so 230 plus instead of 235 plus. I mean, that's 4 pretty good options. I don't know if we want to run 4 again because we got carried away last week with 4. But I think any 3 of these will get us a pretty decent number.
I'm not opposed to the 4 because I do think this is going to be an offensive showdown. It's going
to be a high-scoring game. You're right. Watch this game be 16-13. If it is, lock shop's canceled at that point. Just enough's enough. Enough's enough.
I'm okay with the 4 because I don't know which one I would want to take out, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it then. Let's move some of them. So we'll go Chase Brown touchdown, Jamar Chase over 5.5 catches, and then Ferguson over 37.5 yards, Cooper Rush over 229.5 passing yards.
Yep, I like that. I like that a lot.
I was just going over some fantasy stuff. I was texting with a guy. Let's see here. So apparently I need. You know how tiebreakers are. So this is in my big boy league, and so this is my biggest entry fee. And I've not had my team's kind of come around now, but it did not have a good start. So anyway, I need 63 points tonight to if I win, I'll move into a tie with 2 guys, but the tiebreaker is straight up points. So I need to outgun the one guy by 63 points. And now you know what, man. I've got Rico Dowdle, Jamar Chase, and Cooper Rush going tonight. There could be 63 points there. I could pull down 63 points from that.
Dowdle, Rush, and who was the other one?
Jamar Chase.
Dude, Jamar Chase could have 40 of his own.
You know what? I don't know. I don't think you're
as dead in the water as you were kind of playing it up. I think I think you're in a pretty good, I don't want to say a good spot because 60 for 3 players is tough, but
I think I might be able to pull that off. Like if let's say Cooper Rush throws 2 touchdowns, but one of them is to Rico Dowdle. I mean, that's going to take a big chunk of it right there. And then I don't need a all-time game from Jamar Chase, but I need a good game from Jamar Chase. Maybe I have a chance. Wouldn't that be something? Sliding in the final spot. You know, in our in my Spite League, I've got all these names for my leagues, but in my Spite League that I'm playing in, a guy with a record of 3-10 made the playoffs and knocked off a guy in the first round.
Oh my God.
He picked up Garendo because he's at the bottom of the waiver wire pool. And yeah, that was a tough one. Tough one to see there. Patty, if you're teasing this thing tonight, I think the tease would be get the Bengals to +2 and go over the 43.5. Would you take the number the other way with the Cowboys?
I don't think. Maybe. Yeah,
that would move them to 10.5.
But I feel like there's a possibility that, like you said, like they go toe to toe, and the Cowboys are keeping it close in the third, and then the wheels fall off.
Yeah, what's more likely? The Cowboys lose, or the Bengals lose, or win by 11? You know, I think it's more likely they would win by 11 than lose to the Cowboys here.
Agreed.
Spot, right. So
I agree. And so I probably will be doing that. You know, I like my teases.
The tease gets you to -130. That's a number you can bet, right? Like
I think I'm also going to have a primetime parlay. I'm going to bet the over 3.5 field goals individually because that's a staple. I promised the people I'd be doing it. This is not a field goal game. I'm sorry. This is not a field goal game. There's going to be way too many points, too many touchdowns. But as a principle, because it is also +130, I will be betting it. No doubt about that. Quickly on fantasy, because you were mentioning it last week. I didn't get to, because, you know, I wasn't on the program at all. But last week, I needed 19.5 points heading in to that Monday nighter with Cleveland and Denver. I had Denver's defense. They finished with 20 points.
Yes.
And it was because of that last six pick.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was
legendary.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Because we were in Florida at the Hype House, and we were sitting there watching, and should have seen this theater room they had at this.
Did you call it the Hype House?
That's what we were calling it all week long.
That sounds real nice. I've never stayed in a place I've referred to as the Hype House.
We were sitting there, we were watching it, and jokingly before, I think it was even earlier in the day, I'm like, I just need a quick 20 points from Denver. And one of the boys were like, well, Jameis might have a pick 6 or 2 in him. And sure enough. And that was a huge win. There's like 4 guys in our league all tied with the same record. So I'm going to get the head-to-head against this guy. And it looks like probably finishing second in this league now. So that was a massive win.
It's tough to go out in fantasy when you lose to a team that shouldn't even be in the playoffs. Like we were just talking about with the other league that I'm in. Like,
yeah, that's brutal.
Like the guy who made it in was trying to tank, but there were 4 other teams in our 16-team league that were so bad that he made it into the playoffs, and now he's won one. And actually, you know what? His roster, let me just look it up here quickly. His roster is not that bad. I'm happy because the team he took out actually has Saquon on it. So and Jamar Chase. So, well, maybe it's not over yet. He's up 99-74. He's got CD. The other guy has Chase. So a huge Chase game might be able to salvage this, I guess. But like the guy who is 3-10 is now rolling with Caleb Williams, Garendo, Kyron Williams, and then started Ray McLeod, Adam Thielen, Ty Conklin this week, and ended up having this guy on the brink of elimination. So we'll see how that sorts itself out. 3 games in the National Hockey League tonight. Just very quickly, let's look at the NHL sched. Light Monday night as per usual, but Buffalo and Detroit again. Why do we keep getting like Buffalo? It's like the circle of Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa.
I know,
stuck in mediocrity, and we just have to watch them play all the time. Like,
it's crazy. This might be the worst slate in NHL history, to be quite honest.
Ugh. You're right. Actually, this is not. You're right. This is not good. Sabres -130 at home against the Red Wings. Rangers -250. They're a mess. But they get the Blackhawks, who are even more of a mess. The Hawks are plus 205 on the road, and then the Habs and the Ducks in the nobody gives a damn bowl. That's a tough one as well. I mean, if I had a gun to your head and said make one play tonight on this NHL slate, what would it be?
Quick, I guess maybe Ducks money line. Like I don't even like maybe Ducks money line. Like I don't like anything here. These are 3 gross, ugly, nasty games.
Ah, man. I was going to say Buffalo over Detroit, but Buffalo's lost 6 in a row, and Detroit's lost 5 in a row. So
maybe, it's plus money. I don't know. Maybe that Ducks game, but Ducks Canadians under 6 plus 100.
Yeah, you could do that.
These are bad. Like I probably will just stay away from the NHL slate and just bet more on the Monday Nighter.
That's probably the wise decision. I like my regulation plays. Rangers in regulation minus 149. Hold my nose, suck it up, minus 149 against the Blackhawks in regulation. That's like the only thing I can try to find value on tonight. Maybe, you know what might be fun? Just bet the draw in the Detroit Buffalo game at plus 330.
Yeah.
Just see how that one goes. Detroit's gone to overtime 3 of their last 6. Buffalo's gone to OT 2 of their last 4. And they haven't gone to overtime head-to-head in their last 6 games. So maybe we'll get an overtime matchup there as well. And Rod Z says Shesterkin confirmed after having a baby on Sunday night. So this guy is committed. Is committed.
Well, then I think that's got to be
baby swag.
Yep.
That's what
Blackhawks. Yep. Huss would say that. And Blackhawks under 2.5 goals is minus 153. That's a bit steep. Minus 1.5 plus 185. The baby swag game. Yeah.
But we have to remember, I don't know if it's different for rich people, but he should have been sleeping on like a half chair, half bench for the entire night, which is not comfortable. Not comfortable at all. All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Patty, thanks for stepping in today.
No worries.
Huss will be back tomorrow to once again defend the Chiefs as the haters continue to hate. You know what? I'm going to be heartbroken for Huss when they do lose in the playoffs. As you know, I know they've won back-to-back Super Bowls, but he's still going to be absolutely devastated, and we're going to be like, you think they were going to continue to squeeze out wins the entire way to a champ? Maybe they will. Maybe we'll be heartbroken. But I mean, I would, as a Lions fan, I would much rather play the Bills in the Super Bowl than the Chiefs if the Lions were to get there. I think. Well, I guess we'll see. Lions and Bills this week. Yeah, that'll be a hell of a game too.
Game of the week for sure. I can't wait to talk about that a little later in the week.
We'll definitely set that up on Friday. All right, Patty, great Christmas tree, man. Thanks for sharing that with us today here on the Lock Shop. We've got the oil stream coming up with myself and Tom Gazzola, so make sure you stick around for that. If you're watching on YouTube, turn on autoplay. That'll take you right on over to the oil stream. And if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, small dose of Whale and the Wolf, and then the oil stream fires up at noon today. Talk to you later, Patty.
See you.